Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Oh, it's so lovely to see all of you. Cheers, my Nancy. It's good to have you here, Mother Hen. Missed you. Haven't seen you in a while. And there is, who else do I see here? I see our Jeanette, Jocelyn, Deborah. Chris is in the house. Nice to have you here. Also, Martha. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Catherine. You too. Glad you're here. I've got a combination of tea and I've got all the beverages around me. You know, sometimes you do that. Line up your beverages. I'm really excited about today's show. I'm going to share with you a book that I've been reading that is just boom, mind-blowing. Katie is here. Oh, I'm so glad. Hi, Carol, by the way. Doris. Anyway, I'm so glad Katie's there enjoying her room. There's a story behind that, by the way. And anyway, I'll explain it maybe a little bit later. So this is the book that I'm reading. It's called Mind to Matter by Dawson Church. It's a little bit of a hefty tome, shall we say. Lots of research in it. But boom, I'm telling you. And today I've got to share some stuff from it with you because I just, it's just so good. Did I say hello to Doris? I sure hope so. Hi, Doris, if I didn't say hello to you. I'm glad you're here. So anyway, I have been really making a real attempt at getting my morning ritual done, like put together. And every once in a while, I just kind of go crazy. And I spent probably an hour journaling today. And so I had so much stuff in there. And part of it was because of this book. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing this with you. Alice, hello. I am excited about this. And there's just a couple of new dots that I've just connected. And I think it's going to really help you out. Our quote of the week is, you don't have to feel like it, you just have to do it. Now, who said that? I did. And it's true. It is honestly very true. And today I did not feel like doing my weightlifting and going to the gym, so I did it at home. I've got the program on my phone. Why not? So I did it at home. And I did miss, there's a couple of machines that I like at the gym that I wanted to use. But, today of all days, I just decided I'm going to skip that. I might just, when I go in to go play pickleball in the morning, I play in a competitive league kind of a thing. I will go grab those two machines. I like the lat pull down and the leg press because you can't do that at home, really. I mean, I do weights, hand weights and stuff like that, but there's just nothing like the lat pull down. I don't know. I just like it. There's that. Also, are you connecting the dots with Leptofix yet? Because if you are on a journey to lose weight, then you know that suddenly there's the stall out and you're also saying, I'm hungry all the time. I don't know what's going on here. That's because your leptin has broken, and leptin breaks. Leptin is a hunger hormone that lives in your fat. And as you lose fat, the leptin breaks. And leptin is responsible for your appetite. It says you're hungry, and it says now you're not hungry. So it says go, and it also says stop. And everyone knows what a galloping out of control appetite feels like, right? It just feels like you're out of control. Leptofix will fix it. I take this every single morning. Go to savingdinner.com/show. We will give you one of these free when you buy 3. All you have to do is click that button at the link that I gave you, and we do all the heavy lifting. And guess what? It will get you a year's worth of Leptofix. That's a screaming hot deal, so don't forget about getting that. And there's our Vanessa. It's good to see you. How are the girls, by the way? The girls usually listen. She's got 2 little darling girls that she homeschools, and sometimes they listen to the show too, which I think is adorable. Anyway, let's get down to it and really talk about this lesson that I learned because it's about emotional stuff. And anyway, he's an author, right? Dawson Church is an author. When he said Dawson's Creek, no, I never watched that. My daughter did though. Dawson Church wrote this book, Mind to Matter. He's also a researcher, a teacher. I mean, the guy gets around, he does stuff. But he connects the dots between all of this stuff and he goes deep on a lot of these things that people are talking about, manifestation and law of attraction and stuff. And he's like, show me the science, which I love because, it isn't woo woo, in my opinion. I mean, it might be woo woo ish, but if there's science on the back of it, I'm all ears. I want to hear it. So he also studied the connections between emotions, consciousness, and the environment, and how your emotions are directly connected to your environment, which I never put that into play. And I'm telling you this because yesterday I had so much stuff stacked up. I really should take a video of my now clean office. I was just disgusted with myself, and my environment was emotionally wearing me down. I did not want to be in my office. My office that I redecorated with this full bloom, neon sign and pink lamps and the whole bit, hot pink everywhere, had it painted. My son-in-law did that for me, and then I didn't want to be in it. What was the emotional connection there? It made me feel bad. It had no peace when there was clutter on every surface. And it was all my research and stuff. All the research that I was doing with the Ultimate Sprint, which is already out, was sitting here on my desk. Stacks of notebooks, stacks of everything. And it was just everywhere. And I was emotionally wrought over it. And then today's chapter in this book, the name of the chapter is called How Our Emotions Organize Our Environment. And I thought about it, and I thought back to my journey of being emotionally distraught all the time to living in constant cluttery chaos and mess. And how this one little room where I do my work, where I sit down to get things done, where I have to concentrate, where I prepare for shows, all of it was causing me this emotional distress. And the connection between those two things is unbelievable. So those of you who are going through this right now and are just, trying to get with the program and fly lady their way through cleaning up mess and decluttering and all that, I feel you. And I would just also implore you to get it done. Get it done. Your indecision doesn't need to hold you up. Just make a box that says indecision and put that stuff in a box of indecision so that you keep moving through it. Because I will promise you this, that once you start moving through it and getting the clearness and everything just the way you want it again, it will just make you feel so good. So, my house is clean. My closet is clean. Everything, my drawers are organized. Clean. Everything's great. But this one room, I seem to just, for whatever reason, pile and make a mess out of. I don't know, maybe it's my last frontier. But I connected with this emotional not so goodness with where I was with all the garbage around me. My environment was a hindrance to my emotional stability. Is that you? Well, listen up. I've got some stuff for you because it's good stuff. What he says, this is what Dawson Church says. He said, our emotions can be seen as energy and motion, and that shapes our reality in several ways. And he's right? So there's 5 things that he says it helps to shape your reality. Well, the first one you're going to go, duh, about, but it is foundational, it's basic, and I got to just say it anyway. It's our perception, because our emotions definitely color the lens in which we see our world, doesn't it? And don't you think that's true? Of course it is, absolutely. And if we are positive, we tend to see the world in a positive way. If we're negative, we tend to see the world in a negative way. And our focus, when we're seeing things through that positive rose-colored lens, is pretty on intact on the good stuff. Whereas if we're in the negative zone, our focus is on the negative stuff. Duh. And so what we do, it does is it causes us to perceive the world as potentially threatening and that we're never going to have the life that we want and everything's being withheld from us and it's not fair and this is ugly and that's ugly. You know what I'm talking about. But that is our emotional state absolutely mirroring this to the way that we perceive things. So that's number one. Number two, this one is one of the things that I went, oh man, this is so true. He calls it emotional contagion, a contagion, because emotions spread to people. People pick up and perceive your emotional state. Have you ever been with somebody you just like, oh man, such a negative Nelly, man, I don't like being around her. Or she's just delightful to be around. Everybody gets excited being around her. She has this like charisma and this stuff. There's this emotional connection that you make because emotions are contagions. So they can, when we share an emotional environment, and I will say, like the Hot Melt Sprint, for example, is a great example of an emotional environment. When we share that, when we all come together, when we talk about somebody in our community who's hurt or hurting or going through something, the emotional impact of that, there are women coming to the side and loving up this person who's having this issue and being there for them. There's that. That's number one. The other thing is that you can influence others simply by showing up with your positive emotional state. We see that all the time with Tanya, with Flynn, with all the women who are showing up and having something positive to say and having something to be proud of or just kind of report on or being accountable on. But overall, that overall atmosphere in a social setting, like our little group, becomes either tainted or enriched by the emotions set forth by other people and what they're doing. And I will tell you, we did, very few times, and we've had this group for a few years, but very few times have there been somebody who's just been an emotional letdown or a drag. And I would get little private Facebook messages saying, oh, this is, she's bringing down the whole group. That's an emotional contagion. And it's funny, people who have like this Debbie Downer stuff don't oftentimes stay with us. They go elsewhere where people are going to commiserate with them instead of saying, yeah, but here we are doing all this good work, right? So emotional contagions are interesting. And think about it this way. What do you want to spread with your emotions? What do you want to impact on others? Some Debbie Downer stuff, or do you want to go to the place of bringing someone up, right? I believe that's a calling, by the way, bringing somebody up. Hi, Lynn. Of course you do. Don't you think? Isn't that what you want to do? Isn't that the kind of woman that you want to be? Don't you think that's part of our wise women credo? Is that we want to be these women who bring other women up? Well, it's our emotional environment, and it's being that positive impact in that environment. Number 3 is interesting. It's attraction and repulsion. Okay, this is interesting because your emotions act like magnets. And I am guilty of this. And I've often talked about, how sometimes we have to unplug from our emotions and just get to the analytical part of stuff, which is true. Sometimes we do, but we also have to understand what emotions do. They pull in and attract things, good or bad, and they also repulse things and repel people, good or bad. And it's your experience, situations, and all of it that resonate with that particular emotional state. So that means your emotional energy that you put into the world is the thing that you're going to get back in return. Now, emotional, I think that, you when you're talking about attraction and repulsion versus emotional contagion, they almost seem the same, except the emotional contagion it just goes out to everyone. Whereas the repelling pushes pushes things back, and the attraction pulls things in. So one of the things that I think about, for example, with the emotional contagion, I think about how does a standing ovation happen, for example. A standing ovation happens because one person starts clapping, and then the other person is, yeah, they're all feeling it and they're all clapping. The next thing you know, one person stands up, maybe two, maybe five. And then the next thing you know, the whole theater is standing up, giving a standing ovation. That's the contagion effect, right? It's also the attraction effect. We're all attracted to that. We want to be a part of it. And we too get up and out of our chairs. So we can help shape the people that we're around and our circumstances that are around with our emotions. We need to embrace our emotions and understand the emotions that we are feeling, have the ability to shape our environment, and have the ability to create the world that we live in. We can't simply just dismiss them. We need to sometimes work through them. And sometimes the difficult ones, the long-standing ones, the ones that we've dragged around from decades of life, oftentimes don't fit anymore. And we have to like trash them and get rid of them. But we can't do that until we understand exactly what we're doing. Are we attracting or are we repulsing? Right? Think about that. Think about that. And oftentimes we can see this also in the fruit of our lives in the types of friendships that we have. If we are those who don't have a lot of friendships or long-standing friendships or whatever, take a look. Is there something here that makes sense? Number 4 is energetic communication. I love this one because I think this is really interesting. Also, these all kind of, piggyback on one another. Hello, Denise. They piggyback on one another. And that is that our emotions can be broadcast, right? Broadcast and received. I know this from personal experience. When I've struggled and gone through something, you could feel me, and in return, I could feel you back. And here we are. This is over the internet. I could feel you empathizing and loving me through something difficult, when I've shared my heart with you before. I could feel it. I could feel the support. I could feel all of it. And this isn't even in person. Can you imagine how much more powerful that is in person? So the thing that you need to understand about this whole feeling thing, and even as it crosses hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of miles and even online, is that it's supported by research in quantum physics, epigenetics, and even energy medicine. That it's a thing. This is how we're built. We are built to receive, and we're built to broadcast as well. And our emotions have that kind of an impact on it. Isn't that wild? It's true though. And you've felt it too. Have you not felt that yourself? When we've been together, it's amazing. Number 5 is that it has an influence on your personal reality because they shape our beliefs, our thoughts, and our expectations. Always our expectations. And I will tell you that when we hold tight to expectations and we have absolutely no wiggle room, we put ourselves into a corner, we box ourselves in, and if things don't work out exactly the way we want, we're devastated and disappointed, like forever. But the very thing that we struggle with and the very thing that we're looking at oftentimes in these kind of an emotional situations is that we're focused on the thing that could go wrong, and then it does, right? But if we focus on the things that could go right and we hold our expectations with a loose hand, always with a loose hand, then sometimes we get something better than we even perceived. I've shared with you over and over again the story of getting this house. It was not the house that was on my vision board. It wasn't the house that I thought it would be or what it would look like or anything. But it was the house that had the criteria of being on the water with a dock and a boat. Well, the boat part we had to get, but you know what? So what? The thing is that your emotions create emotional feedback loops for the good or for the better. And they help to influence the thing that you're going to do next. Think about that. Think about that in context of going after your goals. When you're going after your goals and your emotions are impacting your experiences, and you're saying, see, I knew it would never work out, you know, what do you think that's going to do? That's going to give you more of the same. But you could say, hey, you know what? My expectations were the X, Y, and Z. I got this instead. That's interesting. I wonder what this is going to lead to next. That opens the door of possibility, and it helps to reinforce this notion that our expectations need to be held loosely in our hand. So here's the thing. Our emotions play a significant role in organizing our environments, period. They do. They organize our environments according to what it is that we're feeling. And when we are feeling out of sorts and such, and we're feeling like things just aren't making sense, it feels a little chaotic, you don't want to be there, whatever, take a look around. First line of defense, take a look around. What does your environment look like? You know, that is the first thing. The physical is easy because we see it. And then we need to align with what is going on the inside. And can I work this stuff out with a paper and pencil and hit the journal? And then the next thing is, if I still have this emotional dissonance and this disconnectedness going on with myself, then, you know, maybe I need to go see a counselor and get a little bit of help so I can connect these dots. But if we recognize that our emotions are tangible things that influence the way that we run our lives, the way that we spread our joy or agony to others, right? The way that we either attract people in or repel them out of our lives, they act as an energetic communication tool. People pick it up and they know what that's about, because when we are doing this, we are dealing with other humans. We're doing the very same thing. We just don't realize it. It's all very much under the radar, if you will. But I will tell you something that's really interesting about this. It bears fruit in your life. This emotional stuff, it just bears fruit. It will show you exactly what's going on. Do you have an emotional contagion in your life? Are you repelling? Are you attracting? Are you in a negative loop? Is your environment reflection of what's going on the inside? All of these are really valid questions, and they make us dig a little deeper. So all of that to say, you know, I hope you liked today. It was a little bit kind of off the wall, but I found the whole thing to be super interesting. This book is, it's quite a book. Let me just tell you, it's quite a book, and it weighs a lot. You know how books, I don't know why, but because it's got pictures and stuff and what have you in it. The next chapter that I'm reading is called How Energy Regulates DNA in the Cells of Our Bodies, which I believe 100%. I might share some of that with you on Monday. Anyway, I hope you have a fabulous rest of the week. Do not forget about your Leptafix. You want this for a year, right? Of course you do. Especially if you're on any kind of weight loss journey, it's going to mean something. And we have, by the way, Full Bloom coming up in May. And I will give you dates. I will give you everything. And it's going to be a Saturday in May. And it's going to be the virtual one. But I know it's just going to be yummy, and I would hate you to miss it. But just keep watching for that. We will have an announcement shortly. Anyway, peace be with you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.